I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm not getting any audio. If you guys can hear me, that's great, but I'm not hearing any sound coming through.
You got any ideas?
Can you hear us now?
There, now I can hear you.
Okay. All right, great.
So shall we start over?
All right.
Okay.
Wait,
Present.
Yeah, Commissioner Johnson actually is our liaison for the planning commission. She actually heard all this.
Oh, okay.
So
All
I
right.
think we're okay to continue if,
All right.
if it's okay. So it's on the
Yeah, that's fine.
sixth, maintain and preserve transportation investment. One of the obvious ones I think is the pavement management plan. So we just had that up and down the Parkway and 202 for that matter. The other is best management practices. I love the idea of BMPs. I mean, it's not that we have to invent the best way to do things, but things like stormwater, street cleaning, other pollution is primarily what it is that we use the best management practices. And then we identify stable and adequate funding mechanisms. I mean, there's more bullets to every one of these points. But I just wanted to kind of give a snippet and highlight it and say, these are the summary of the goals and policies for the transportation element of the 2044 comp plan.
I really appreciate this because I was reading through that big old document that came with the agenda packet, and it's got a Brazilian different things. And I was wishing that there was a just artist rendering of what Snoqualmie is supposed to look like. I feel like this gets a lot closer to that than the gigantic document that I was sifting through.
Yeah, I don't want to present to that. So that's why I did this.
No, this is great. Councilman Johnson, do you have any questions, comments, anything like that?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Councilman Holloway.
No, not this time. I would like to digest the material.
One of the things that I noticed as I was reading through the larger document is how many of these things the city is actively addressing and has been actively addressing for well, as long as I've been on the council. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. Anything else? Nothing to add?
So after review, if we have feedback, we get to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to come back if necessary. Any other questions?
I like these goals. I know that Councilman Christensen has been antsy about the e-bikes on the trails. So I'm glad that's included. This is all good stuff. Yeah.
I will point out that the parks element will take a good close inventory of the trail system, and I'll make sure they look at the lighting
Good.
equipment during that evaluation.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It may be powered bicycles and scooters. I think some of the scooters of concern are not electric.
Yeah, I think the ones that people have been having trouble with is
Oh.
just those e-bikes that come zipping up at 40 miles an hour with no sound and coming up behind and not even an on your left or anything like that to go with it.
I believe if it is to be legal in Washington State, it is restricted to be 20 miles per hour under power. Not that you can't get going Amazon and get ones that go faster, but they're not strictly legal.
Okay, well, my computer decided to restart on me, so I'm not sure what the next thing on our agenda is. What was the next discussion item? There we go. Oh, yeah, 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 there we go. Come on up, Mr. Hamlin.
So thank you. Thank you. It was very.
Thank you
it
very
was a
much.
Good
That was-
comprehensive
that was
overview.
excellent.
So thank you. See your jacket?
You won't get far without realizing you're losing it.
Okay, just, I'm gonna give you just a real quick update on where we're at with the community center, because after we left off from council last, we're kind of gave you the presentation, went through some of the options that we've been looking at and what we're doing. Trying to respond to, I think, really your inputs, but also from the design as it progresses as well. So last we discussed, we're ready to start on our design development phase of the project. And we have looked at different options for reducing costs. We heard loud and clear that there's not going to be much support for reduced options. So at this time, we are staying with the kind of the ultimate configuration, or at least that level of service, that level of functionality. Clearly, that is the YMCA's preference, and we believe that's what the community supports as well, just based on the community input so far. What we also heard from council is that there has, to this point, not been a great deal of community input or a groundswell of community support for the project, or at least not has not been given to council. So we met this week. Yes, it was Monday, to discuss how we get more input from the community. How do we develop that community support if that community support is there? And really, how do we get more community input on this? So if there's people who are against it, we want to hear that. If there's community support for it, we want to hear that. We want to find out where we're at. So we have kind of started off on what we call a community engagement plan to try to, one, solicit that engagement. And we'll be bringing more of that to you here fairly soon as that develops. I think Dana has taken the first cut at it. We're progressing on several fronts. We're probably going to do some open houses to find out, to get more input from the community. And then we'll likely probably organize a town hall session just to invite more folks in to hear their voices. And so stay tuned going forward. You'll see these types of activities start popping up. And once we have the engagement plan developed, we'll make that available to you so you can see that. And that's our update for now.
I think that's a brilliant plan. I mean, I know that that's what I want more than anything is input from the community as to what they want. I think we tend to hear the loudest, most vehement voices, and there's great validity in that. Doesn't necessarily reflect consensus.
Yeah.
But I think an opportunity for people to share those opinions and in a larger group where people can share where we can figure where the community is really at, I think would be really, really valuable.
Yeah. We sense that there's an awareness amongst the community that, we're looking at doing this, but they don't know really where we're at. So we think more outreach is necessary, more opportunities for folks to come in and see where we're at in the current phase of development, and let them know that, it's up to them. Really, if you guys want this, you need to show support for it. This is where we're at with the funding phase. That needs to develop, and in order to get to close this gap, in order to get from point A to point B, we need some support. And so I think that, with these outreach efforts, hopefully we'll get a little bit more engagement and get a little bit more input from the community.
I think that's a great plan. Councilman Johnson?
Yeah, one of the things I want to share is that my conversations with some community members, as well as on the planning commission, is that there's certainly a not insignificant percentage of the public that thinks we already voted for this and that it's already done. And to some degree, they're wondering why construction hasn't started yet, because we already did it. We voted for it on the CIP. We voted for various levels of approval for various phases. And there's some confusion over whether this is fully approved or not. And there's definitely a contingent of people who think that it's already a done deal. And that we're not hearing much from them because they don't know that it's not a done deal yet. So that's one thing I wanted to share. The other thing was that I'm not sure exactly when this shift was made, but the last that I had heard was that the GMP was expected sometime in January, but now that's apparently May. So I'm not sure who all is aware of that, but I want to make sure that everyone was. At least as of last night, that was the update.
Could you repeat that last sentence?
I can fill in.
Oh, okay, all right. Do you know what he said?
Yeah, the guaranteed maximum price, the GMP. We had it on our schedule. It was kind of our critical path that in January, we were going to bring forward the guaranteed maximum price. Well, because of the uncertainty around funding, we don't know when the construction date or if the construction date will start. So we took that off the critical path. The next milestone would be to get permit documents submitted so we can beat the, you recall the issue with the energy code updates in March. So if we don't get permit documents, applications in before that date in March, then we're not vested and we would be obliged to pay the additional cost for that. So we have a year, maybe up to 2 years of extending permits, provided we beat our application date by mid-March, I think March 15th. So right now, our current scheduled milestone, the next big milestone is to get permit documents submitted by the 10th, by March 10th. We want to beat that date by a week. There could be an extension on this. We don't really know. I believe there's a lot of folks who are appealing these energy code updates. They think that it needs more work. It's already been extended 6 months. It could go another 6 months, but we don't know that for certain. So the plan is to get our permit documents at least submitted by that date. We will do the guaranteed maximum price once we have some certainty with funding. So it's just it's a way of extending and giving ourselves a little bit, several more options without, incurring way more costs.
That's clever.
So, were the permits in scope of the original contract in place now?
Yes.
Okay. And the guaranteed maximum price was the ultimate outcome of the contract in place, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Well, the ultimate outcome would be a complete set of design development documents, which we're going to put behind the permit date. We got to find out where we're at with funding. We got to see that there's the thing about the guaranteed maximum price, whatever it is going to reflect whatever degree of uncertainty there is in the contract. So if there's uncertainty, if it doesn't look like this thing will get constructed till 2025, the guaranteed maximum price is going to assume that it's not going to start construction till 2025. So all that escalation gets built in to the guaranteed maximum price. So the closer we get to the reality of start of construction, the better that price is going to be because it removes some of that uncertainty in the price. You understand?
I understand. My question really was, I want to make sure that we're still in alignment with the contract in place.
Yeah.
We have extended the deadline now 6 months. So very seldom do I see a schedule extension without a commensurate change in the contract, change in price. So as long as we're within, the scope of the contract, I'm happy. I'm just asking that we
Yeah.
make sure that we're we're okay with that.
Yeah, on cost control, we're doing several things. One, we're being very careful with the budget. We are not, so the next phase of design development would include bringing on the additional consultants. So engineering consultants that would do the fine details on the design. So right now, we are keeping those scopes, those supplementary contracts to a very minimum because we're not ready to develop the fine details. So we're not actually going to break into that. We're going to keep that additional amount or whatever is needed in reserve and just have enough. We'll contract out just enough of that work to keep the project moving, but not the full amount so that we don't, this is a means of cost control. The other thing is that we saved a lot of money on programming. We didn't spend half of our programming budget because we went so fast. You know, we're moving quickly on this. So like we went so fast, we couldn't spend all that money, which was good. And we still got a very quality effort out of the deal. We just, we were efficient in the process. So we still have a lot of money left in the contract. So the challenge here is with this extension to avoid spending too much money out ahead of where we're at with the project progress.
Councilman Johnson, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just wondering, with the whole phased plan, if we did end up going that route, I wonder if we could actually go a step further. I wonder if we could put the hole in the ground for the pool, but just not enclose it until later. I wonder how much that would save, and if we want to go that route. Just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Basically, enclose it later.
No, we don't. We can't really do that because the natatorium is it's a whole unit. It wouldn't be as simple as just putting a pool in the ground, you know, and then building a structure over the top of it later. I think we would have to do the whole thing as a unit because the pool and the equipment and all of the additional facilities that go with it, the locker rooms and all of that has to be completed as a unit. I think just building a pool with nothing else, I mean, the equipment has to be housed somewhere, right? The locker rooms, the attendant locker rooms have to be located somewhere, right? So I don't know that we could actually build a natatorium or build a pool without building a natatorium to go with it, unless we were planning for a permanent structure or a permanent facility that was outdoors. There is a possibility, I guess, I've seen it done before where an outdoor pool becomes an indoor pool, but not without spending a whole bunch of money developing a building around a pool. And I think that adds a lot of cost and complexity which would not serve us.
So basically, the answer is we could do that, but it wouldn't necessarily save money.
I think that's correct, yeah. Plus it would
Okay.
mean a complete redesign, I believe.
Got it.
Our pool expert might know. You might have some input on this.
Well, I'm shooting from the hip, but first concern I have is safety, having a giant hole in the ground. That's, you know, not enclosed and somebody could wander into, etc. Second concern I have goes back to my public works director days, would be stormwater management. You know, it rains here a little bit, and so that thing would be filling up. We got to do something with that water. And because it's disturbed soils and everything else, we're gonna have to treat that water to get rid of it. It's not gonna be a simple process of just pumping it into the storm drain. But as far as the construction process, I mean, if we knew we were gonna do the building and they did the foundations and did all that at one shot, you might be able to do the underground and the foundations, but you're really hoping where they plan those pipes to go, that's where they need to be. Because going back to realign things, once all that concrete's poured, would be very expensive and destructive. So that's just my thoughts on that.
So there's a outdoor pool 5 blocks away from the site you're proposing.
Oh, if you want to build an outdoor pool, that's a whole different
No, I'm just-
story.
I understand.
I
I understand the concern of retrofitting an outdoor pool.
Yeah.
I don't understand the concern of outdoor pool. I understand having it positioned was gonna cost, and having it redone later to put a cover on it will cost. But outdoor pools do exist here, and if this might be an option, I don't know, you guys need to look at it.
No, my concern was not a pool, a hole.
Yeah, they had the same problem last night. I thought it was obvious. I'm sorry. I meant build a pool and have it outdoors and then put the building over
Okay,
it.
yeah, I was imagining the end of Poltergeist as well. And yes, you would need to treat that wall. Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes. Yes, I was imagining basically build a pool and then put the building over the top later.
We could certainly look at the cost of doing an outdoor facility, but you would still be putting the pump house and the locker rooms and such indoors.
Yeah, you still have to.
But,
So
I imagine it would save a considerable amount of money.
Initially,
Operations will be unreal heating that much water outdoors, but yeah. PSC will love you.
Maybe we can get some funding.
yeah, we haven't looked at that specifically, but
I mean, they do have bubble structures you can put over pools.
mhm.
I used to teach in one every winter and teach.
Was it
lifeguarding.
awesome?
California.
Was it awesome?
No, it was not, because invariably somebody would leave the doors open and it deflate on us. So, yeah, they're not ideal. They're pressurized structures when the doors are closed. But when the door opens, you're walking into a wind tunnel and you gotta close it quick because it starts to deflate. And if the power goes out, it deflates.
All right.
Sounds like a brilliant idea to me. Okay, anything else on that, anybody? All right, that's a great update. I love the going after more community input on it. I think that's exactly what we need. So, good plan.
okay.
And my computer decided to restart on me. Is there anything else on our agenda?
What do we have?
Oh,
Adjournment.
We just didn't know if we wanted to address the December 19th meeting. There's nothing on the agenda at this point.
There is nothing on the December 19th agenda. Okay, you know what? I have family coming in early. I have family staying late. You guys are killing me. You guys are killing me. I was really counting on these meetings. I don't know. Does anybody want to address it? I clearly do not. But does anybody else want to address it?
I'm not gonna be here on the 19th. Just to let you know, but there's not a council meeting the week after. Chair's discretion, but it's open for you to cancel it.
Councilman Johnson?
I intend to cancel F&A at the next meeting.
There will be no community development committee meeting that week, so it's possible that this would be the only meeting. But if chair decides to have the meeting on the 19th, then I should be available.
Do we need like a motion or something to
Move to council this meeting on the 19th.
Second.
guys without a second? All right. Well, did you say something, Joe?
He said second.
All right, let's put it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
I think it should be a roll call vote.
Should be a roll call vote? Nay.
Are you filling time? I mean,
You know
Move
what?
to adjourn.
All right. Also dies without a second. You go with adjourning?
I'm good with it.
We'll cancel that 19th meeting. And Mary, you don't have to get all salty with me. That was pretty good. All right, we're adjourned.